So today we're going to look at section 1.3a. Um, the overall section of 1.3 looks at the rate of change. So we're going to actually be looking at graphs. We're going to use coordinates off graphs. Coordinates is a big fancy word for points to calculate the slope. So the slope can be calculated using a formula of m, which means slope, is equal to y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. You can do this by choosing any 2 points. Usually the point that you choose closest to the left is your first point, and the point you choose closest to the right is your second point. So here, my first point is actually 1, comma 1, and I can write it right on the graph as 1, and I would just circle a 1 with a 1 with a circle around it. Whew. Then my second point is a 2 with a circle around it. Those are nice circles. And it is a point, we always read x, y, point 3, comma 3. Okay. Now, whenever we read a graph as we go from left to right. So this from left to right goes up. So this is a positive slope graph. So when you go up or rises from left to right, then the slope is positive. If the graph goes down when you read left to right, then you're going to end up having a negative slope because the rise is negative. Okay. Now, if we're going to use this slope formula, we could calculate the slope of this first graph by going y2. Remember, it's always x comma y in these points. So if we filled out this equation, m equals y2. y2 is 3 minus y1 over x, which is the first one, x2, 3 minus x1, which is the first one in the first point. So we get 3 minus 1 over 3 minus 1, which is just 2 over 2, which is just a slope of 1. Okay. So if we carry on here, we're just going to decide whether the slope is positive or negative, and then calculate the slope as a fraction. So we actually have to leave it as a fraction because it specifically states that. So when we look here, when we read left to right, it goes upwards. So this is going to be a positive slope. This one, as I read left to right, goes up. So it's a positive slope. And C down here from left to right goes down. So that's a negative slope. Now to calculate, we need 2 points. This point here, I'll usually try and use 0, 0 if I can, and then another point where it crosses the crosshairs. Like these aren't great because you'd have to estimate. This one's really nice because it's right on the crosshairs. So to find the slope, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So I'd write the points. This first point is 0, 0. And I'd write the second point here. That is 4, comma 3. This is my second point because it's further right on the graph. So y2 is 3 minus y1 is 0 over x2 is 4 minus 0. So that turns into 3 over 4. So the slope is 3/4. So I could write m equals 3/4. And we do that for every graph we've got here. So just picking the 2 points. Usually endpoints are really nice to look at. So I could come in and pick out this point is 3, comma 5. That's point 1. And point 2 would be 6 comma 10. So when I finish here, then I would do y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So my second y is 10 minus my first y, which is 5, over my second x, which is 6, and my first x, which is 3. 10 minus 5 is 5. 6 minus 3 is 3. So my slope of this graph would be 5/3. Okay. Now when I go about and do this last one, I would just have to look at the points. That's 0 and 10 and 9 and 5. So the points are 0 comma 10 and 9 comma 5. So if I do y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1, I will get y2 is 5, 5 minus y1, which is 10, all over x2, which is 9, minus 0. This will give me negative 5 over 9 as the slope. Okay, so this is just going through the solutions again on this page. It's a little nicer writing, but it's the exact same thing. So I'm going to have you try the build your skills, and then we will carry on again next time with this new one. Okay, goodbye.